Hello, everyone. Welcome to my webinar on the new master's degree in piano improvisation. I'm very excited that we are opening this new program. This is something I have been working towards for a long time, a goal I have been preparing, and I'm happy that we are finally able to do it. My presentation today will be about 30 minutes long, presenting the program, presenting my view of improvisation. You are welcome afterwards to ask questions in the chat box. So there will be a few minutes for questions at the end. I will start by talking about improvisation and what is the meaning of improvisation for me. Improvisation unites composition and performance, and it is a special type of creativity in music. And I will start by demonstrating improvisation from a few notes which could go in a couple of different directions. So I'll shuffle the notes here and let's see what we have. So first one, E flat, and second one, F sharp, which could be read as G flat as well. Let's take those two notes. Same two notes. And the last one. Just showing several possibilities of starting with the same two notes and improvising in a lot of different directions, which shows us that improvisation can really be a lot of different things. It can go in different styles using different languages. So we know that improvisation in music, it combines composition and performance, and also it puts an emphasis on creativity. Now, I want to talk about this in a larger context. We now live in a time in history when we are very materialistic. We have a lot of possessions. We record everything. Everything is preserved. Everything is recorded. What I am saying right now is also recorded, by the way. So we have everything. We have a backup for everything. Everything is stored. We have everything is photographed. All of our lives are videotaped, photographed. We have a lot of stuff, a lot of objects, and a lot of those things. And improvisation is something that is not a material possession. It is something that is communicated in real time. It is a vehicle for expression, personal expression, musical expression, which could go in different musical languages. And it conveys some kind of meaning, as in any music that conveys meaning through sound, which then evokes emotions, spiritual awareness. It can be uplifting. It can be something that we think about. It can be a lot of different things, a lot of different emotions, a lot of different thoughts, but it is something that is not materialistic. And also it involves our own skills, our own potential. So something else that is important is that when we improvise, everyone has something else to say. Everyone is improvising differently. We learn languages, and I will talk about the musical languages, historic languages, contemporary languages. Yes, we have all of those musical languages which we learn so that we can express ourselves. So in the same way that we learn to speak different spoken languages, we can learn English, we can learn Chinese, we can learn German, we can learn Russian, we can learn lots of different languages, and then we can express ourselves in those different languages. Then the same thing in music. We learn different musical styles, musical languages. We can learn baroque language, we can learn jazz, we can learn romantic language, we can learn avant-garde, experimental, lots of different things. Okay, so I would like to start with baroque, actually, and for this I will choose a key, a major or minor key. We'll shuffle the cards and see what comes up. So here we have A major, and I will start a saraband in A major. So I played 8 measures of music, which repeated but differently. So one thing we can deal with, we can think about the length of the phrase, how we can count to 8, and we can do this by thinking about the pace of the harmonies. 1, 2. And keeping the time, thinking about measure 1, measure 2, measure 3, which we can practice through playing the chords, but also we can see that the different parameters impact what's happening in music. We have meter, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, which repeats. We have the harmonies, we have modulation, moving from one key to another key. We have the melodic material, we have the ornaments, and the texture between the different hands. I could start, maybe let's take another key, maybe A minor, but with the same tempo. Now, if I go to the second half, I could also start with the same C major chord in the second half and go into a different key. So it can go in different directions. So I see here there is a question about the age limit. I will refer to these questions later on in terms of the degree and graduate degree, undergraduate age limit, and all of that. So please be patient. I will discuss these issues towards the end of the presentation. So let's go back. I think I started with in A major the first time I do. Something like this. We can do the same beginning, but in a different musical style, for example, classical style. For example, something like this. So start with the same opening, but a lot of elements are different, which lead to a different musical style. So maybe now it's time to talk a little bit about the relevance of doing this kind of thing. I mentioned the languages, the musical languages that we are dealing with. And I presented some historic languages. Now, those musical languages exist today in the form of written compositions. So compositions that were written at that time and that are being played by established composers, well-known composers. So this music is being played, it is being listened, but it is not being spoken a lot. And when we learn to speak in those languages, then they really come to life in a special way. And we can do those kinds of things in concerts, present them in public piano recitals in the same way that repertoire is being played. So alongside Prelude and Fugue by Bach or Sonata by Mozart or any other genre, we can improvise those genres and present them in concert, and then every person will do it slightly differently so that the language remains rich and alive. And this is something that is important. So the language remains alive, and there is also the creativity of the musician doing it. Now, other aspects of the improvisation program also relate to improvising with other instruments, chamber improvisation, improvising with other artists, disciplines, actors, dancers, artists involved in puppet theater, voice artists, singers, speakers, a lot of different possibilities. And in this kind of collaboration, there is a compositional mindset, there is a collaborative project, working together, learning to collaborate. There is the idea of creating projects, putting them in different venues, so it impacts the artistic landscape, but also it is important for education, for teaching prospects. So people who study improvisation can not only do this, but they can teach it and enhance creativity in this way for really for everyone. Like now Maria clearly wrote on the chat, improvisation is important for everyone. So it's important for musicians, different kinds of musicians, but also for human beings in different disciplines. So people who are doing a degree in improvisation are going to later do those things through performing, through teaching, through collaborating, and through spreading message of improvisation in the world. So it's important for personal reasons, it's important for reasons of contributing to our society, but also it has interesting career prospects for musicians, particularly because not a lot of people are pursuing degrees in improvisation. Okay, I want to now move to other musical styles. I will now present Romantic style, and then I will move into several 20th century styles. So, Romantic style, let's pick another key from our collection here. What do we have here? F major. So I'll start something in F major. Now, that seems very elaborate, lots of techniques, lots of music, very loud and all of that. And there is a question, how can one learn to do those kinds of things? So it seems like a complex process, but when we learn improvisation, we break the process to small steps. For example, we can think about the actual chords that are being played. So if I play something like that, and then and so forth. So the chords lead to figurations. So one thing we can do, we can practice specific progressions. This is a sequence. The same kind of music repeats several times. It's called a sequence in music. For example, or a progression that has a specific direction. Going down, or a simpler progression. And then on this progression, we can create a melody. For example, so we have that. And then when we discuss figurations, for example, so also pianistic figurations can be practiced separately. Textures, melodies, harmonies, all of those things are things that we can learn in isolation. Now, I will say a few words about teaching improvisation specifically. When we learn music, I see there are more notes in the chat. I will refer to them later. When we learn music, there are three elements that relate to one another. We have knowledge, technique, and creativity. So knowledge is learning material, learning what other people did, learning musical styles, learning musical compositions, learning about playing an instrument, about singing, a lot of things that we learn. Technique is the ability to develop the skills that allow us to express what we want to express. So of course, in order to learn to play an instrument, we need to build a technique that allows us to play that instrument. When we talk about piano, so we have the ability to play with a singing sound, cantabile sound, the ability to play chords, scales, arpeggios, all of those kinds of things, the ability to play thirds, sixths, octaves, those kinds of things, the ability to play music in different styles, different rhythms, a lot of different things. So the technique, we build the technique, but then there is the element of creativity. And creativity is how we put all of those things together and in order to do something that expresses ourselves. When we learn repertoire, we express ourselves through something else, the music that we learn, the composer, the style of the composition, and so forth. When we improvise, we learn to do this with the languages that we learn and then developing our own personal voice. So in the Masters in Improvisation, we learn different languages of music, but we also learn to create, eventually to develop our own personal style or our own personal voice. And this is also an important part of the process. A couple of other details. In teaching, it's important to create success at every stage when we practice, when we learn things. So every day when we practice something, what do we learn today that we didn't know yesterday? So as a teacher, it's important for me to empower students so that they learn that they have the capabilities to do things. And in improvisation, it's particularly important because there are so many fears. Oh, I don't know how to improvise. I never learned how to improvise. Nobody taught me how to improvise. And I don't know, it's such a mysterious process and all of that. And this mysterious process is broken to small steps And when we create success at every step of the process, we learn to accomplish something. We learn to create 8 measures of music, 10 seconds of music. We learn to create success in every step of the process. Then later we are able to do more elaborate things. I will demonstrate improvisation in various additional styles. So, for example, if we take, let's take a few notes from here. So, C, A, E. So I'm playing something which is more modal than tonal. Modal, there are pentatonic modes, there are church modes, and there are various modes that are used by various 20th century composers. And now I'll take the same 3 notes and turn it to something which maybe Debussy could have done. Just to show that when we change the harmonic language a little bit, we can alter the meaning of the music considerably. So instead of doing, I was using different chords, which led to different kind of music. More examples of different styles. Same 3 notes. Same 3 notes. And last one, same 3 notes. Last one was melody and accompaniment. And again, there are lots of other possibilities, and other people improvising on this, of course, can take it to a lot of other places. I'm trying to show really wide range of possibilities for improvising. Now, I will start referring to questions that have been asked here. So, and you're welcome to ask more questions. I will do my best to answer as many of them as possible at the webinar, and others we can continue later the conversation. You can send me emails through my website. The link to my website appears at the text describing this video. This video will be also available on my YouTube channel later on. Okay, and looking at the questions. Is there an age limit for the degree? Is it meant to be bachelor or graduates only, maybe pianists who come from working field also? The most important thing for me is to have candidates who are serious about improvisation and they want to learn and to pursue the degree so that later they can make a change, or later they can influence or impact or do things in the world with the knowledge that they gained. So it is called a master's in improvisation. So you do need to have a bachelor's degree in order to do the master's. But if you have another master's, or if you're already a professional musician, or if you're coming from life experiences, this is fine. So there is no age limit, but I want to see people who want to do this and later to use it in a meaningful way, in a way that's meaningful for you individually and meaningful for our society. So that's very important. Now let's see, next question. When you say that composition is important for students, do you mean a complete composed work, a work half written in order to structure the improvisation, or maybe both? Improvisation and composition are two art forms that are connected to each other. Today, we live in a society that values composition as something serious, something that you can think about, a Beethoven symphony. You spend a lot of time thinking about the structure, and then you can perform it for a lot of years afterwards. And improvisation is something that you can play in cocktail parties. And what I'm trying to say is that both are capable of expressing a wide range of emotions in music. And I would like to employ a compositional approach to improvisation so that you can think about structure. You can even sketch. When you say half written, you can create sketches and then improvise based on what you've written, or you can compose so that it helps your improvising, or vice versa, you can improvise so that it helps your composing. So all of those things inform each other. The focus of the degree that we're offering is on being able to improvise, but compositional work is very valuable. And yes, it helps to clarify the thought process, the creative process, and to think about structure. Composition is strong, written composition is strong in the area of structure, the strong point of improvisation is in spontaneity and flow. Composers who write music try to capture that sense of flow in written compositions, and improvisers who improvise, they have the flow, they try to add a sense of structure into the improvisation. Other questions? Hello to all people I know here. Thank you for joining the chat. Like to see. Long-term memorization for repertoire. Yes, improvisation definitely helps memory, and it also helps with memorizing repertoire. So when we improvise, we try to grasp the structure, and also we use knowledge of harmony, of compositional structure, knowledge of creating a melody, knowledge of textures, knowledge of so many different things that relate to composition and to performance. All of those skills that we develop through improvisation help a lot our memory. We learn to memorize what we play, what we improvise, and that in turn impacts our memory of repertoire. So in terms of how to develop memory, long-term memorization for lots of repertoire, it's a larger question. What I can say is that you can divide the memory to different aspects, memorizing the harmonic progression, memorizing motoric memory, memorizing the fingering, memorizing visual memorization, how it looks on the page, singing to help memorizing the different voices, the bass, the melody. You can break it down to different steps, and at each step, close your eyes, see if you remember, if you memorize, and then check yourself against the score. Is there any church mode chord progression that one could simply practice, since church mode had been my favorite scales? So yes, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, they are all very useful, and you can use all of them. So if you use the Dorian scale, by the way, Dorian doesn't mean that it needs to start on D. You can transpose it. You can play ostinato in the left hand and melody in the right hand in a specific mode. Phrygian. For example, this is an example of improvising without specific pulse, with a freer approach to rhythm. So definitely, church modes can be used, chord progressions can be used. How is improvisation perceived in a concert recital setting when people are accustomed to hearing composed repertoire? This is where we come into the picture. For a number of years, I have presented all improvisation recitals, solo piano recitals, for people who are accustomed to hearing composed repertoire. And there are different ways of creating the format. Sometimes I do historic improvisations in the first half, and then in the second half, something that is improvisation with collaboration with other artists, with an actor or a dancer or something like that. Something with a narrative story connected to it, something with text. At other times, I've done improvisations that that take material from the audience. You take tunes, motives, and you improvise on them. You can improvise an entire recital in a specific style. You can do so many different things. So people are used to hearing certain things because they forgot that 200 years ago they heard a lot, or their fathers and mothers and grandfathers and grandmothers heard a lot of improvised music in concert. So it was really part of the culture. And if we learn history, music history, we learn that in the 18th and 19th centuries, it was really an integral part of performances, public performances. And of course, in the 20th century, it was an integral part of jazz and other kinds of music. And it can definitely be part of the classical piano recital in the 21st century. And not only recital, also chamber, ensemble, Recently, I created an improvisation ensemble, and we presented our first concert 2 months ago in Stuttgart at the Music University in Stuttgart, where we're offering this program. So it's also possible to present improvisation in concert in other ways, not only solo. How many faculty do you have for this program? So in terms of specifically the piano improvisation program, the students who are accepted into the piano improvisation program are going to have their major lessons with me as the professor of piano improvisation. Additionally, they are going to take classes with other teachers. The full program is available on my website at the link that appears at the bottom of this video, and the names of the different classes that are required and those that are electives. So you can see the full master's program. There are a lot of choices between different things that you can take. And also in Stuttgart, we have very good organ improvisation teachers, and we also have a program for a new program of performance. It's called Campus Gegenwart. And so it's possible also to do projects with other departments and other teachers, but the main studies in solo improvising are going to be with me. Hi, could you briefly discuss how a typical lesson would go? What is your favorite style of improvising? Second question, favorite style. You also notice that I improvised in a lot of different styles today. So I like all of them. And in different times, I spend time on different styles. I think it's wonderful that we live in a time where we can learn all of those different musical languages, and we are not restricted to just one style, so we can do all of the different things. So from a creative perspective, I find it really fascinating. A typical lesson. This is, really depends on the student, because different students need different things. As I mentioned before, it's very important to create a sense of empowerment, to create a sense of success, that whatever your skill level is or what you're interested in, we can develop something together. What I normally do, we create a plan for what we are going to cover in a semester. So we can say, okay, for the first month or for the first 6 weeks, we're going to cover that particular project, that particular style, and then we develop exercises in that style. During the lesson, there are exercises in improvisation, breaking the process to small steps. There is contact with repertoire, looking at repertoire, at models in the repertoire, and improvising in relation to it. So, for example, I'll give you a brief example. If we take, I don't know, Chopin's Sonata. And we say, okay, we want to improvise a similar texture, but in a different key. So I could do this. Taking a model with a specific texture and improvising in relation to it. Lots of different things, exercises in melody, in harmony, in sound, in a lot of different things, with the goal of building a vocabulary of elements that you can use and building a repertoire of elements. Okay, how about dates and deadlines for auditions? How would the audition look like? So first, most important, send me an email now telling me that you're interested in applying. The official application deadline is tomorrow, and we can potentially expand it in a few days, but I would like to hear from you within the next few days that you are interested. So first step, simply send me an email, tell me I'm interested. Then I'm going to send you materials to improvise on. And the specific audition requirements are found also on the same link to my website. The first round, you have to improvise in a number of different styles and to play one piece from the repertoire of your choice. And then I think the audition, the video that you send is about 20 minutes long, something like that, 20 to 30 minutes. And you send it, and then we listen to it. And then we're going to contact you with further questions or further information. Officially, the live audition is supposed to happen, the second round is supposed to happen in July, during early part of July. With the situation today in the world, we don't know what the travel situation will be like. So the first and most important step is that you send me an email, I send you materials, then you send me your video with the application, and then we take it from there. The full details are found on the website, and you can always send me questions by email. Yes, Wayne Alpern, hi. Thank you. I know. Thank you very much, Wayne. Now, get lost when improvising, Darren Shearer. By the time I get to the end of bar 8, I've forgotten how the piece started. Aha, very good. I'll tell you something I also forget. And you noticed when I did the saraband, the baroque saraband, so what happened is that I played 8 measures, and I played 8 measures with a repeat sign, which were completely different, but with the same structure. Now there are exercises in memorizing a melody. A quick tip is to repeat the beginning of the melody several times so that you can remember it. But I will tell you, ultimately, it's not so important to remember a long melody, but more or less how it started and the basic character of it, so that you can return. Of course, if you want to practice doing variations, then you can write down 8 measures or a few measures, and then it's in front of you on a piece of paper, and then you improvise variations on it. Is it going to be possible to study improvisation with other instruments as well, marimba? Okay, the masters in improvisation that we are starting is specifically for pianists. I'm also doing things in improvisation for other instruments at the Music University here in Stuttgart. We are doing an ensemble with different instruments together, and we have special improvisation days when people come together and improvise. So there are other activities with other instruments. In terms of a specific degree, the degree at the moment is offered only for pianists. Hopefully, we will expand and offer the degree for other instruments later on. Does it go automatically that your students let go of music as a possession through improvising? Ooh, very good question, Claren. That's the goal. That's the goal. That you improvise and the music and you become one. That you are developing this sense of flow. Let go of inhibitions. Of course, you need knowledge, you need skills, but yes, to develop that sense of flow and communication. And then in performance, it's also very special for the listener as a result. Dan Partridge, Chopin, much there about how he improvised. Absolutely, Chopin. Yes, he improvised, and not only Alan Walker's biography, but there is the book Chopin, Pianist and Teacher by Eigeldinger, which shows it was really an integral part of the culture. So yes, we learn how important it was. Mati Raikalio, hello, thank you. What is your mail? Okay. If you see at the bottom of this video, there is a link to my website. Go to my website and then click on contact, and then you can send me a message through this contact information. Okay, I think I answered all the questions, and I'm sure there will be more questions. It's a big topic, and there is a lot more to say, but it seems that we are now getting towards the end of our session today. Thank you all for joining, and let's keep in touch. Send me an email. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know if you're improvising. And please apply to the program in improvisation, one of the first such programs in the world. There are some pioneers who advocate improvisation. There is a wonderful baroque improvisation program in Basel. There is a program for contemporary improvisation in Basel, no less wonderful. There is the Center of Improvisation and Creative Performance at the Guildhall School in London. There is an improvisation program in Tallinn, in Estonia. There is an improvisation program at the Paris Conservatoire. In the United States, important programs at New England Conservatory in Boston, at the University of Michigan. And in other countries, there are improvisation teachers who teach improvisation and promote the art of improvisation. So the degree we're offering is unique in the sense that it combines both historic and contemporary styles. It is offered for classically trained pianists, and it places the emphasis on the things that I described, which are important for the field of improvisation. And yes, I hope you will apply to the program, and we will all continue and improvise the future. Bye. Oh, sorry, one last question here. Tell us about the literature for learning to improvise. Woo! Send me an email. It's a long question. It's a long question. We'll continue with it some other time. All right. Bye-bye.